Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and whoo boy, we've got a classic. Now before I start off, yeah, you know from the title it's The Exorcist from 1973, and it is a classic. I understand that it is one of the most famous horror movies of all time. However, let me start off by saying this. I've only watched it twice, today afternoon and a few years ago, maybe like, I don't know how long back, but yeah, just a few years back I watched it for the very first time, which is really odd since I'm a big fan of horror movies and I should have watched it earlier. I think the main problem for me when I was growing up is, since this was before my birth, is that this movie was always talked about. A lot of people talked about the scenes in the movie, so it stopped being interesting enough for me. And that's kind of it. That's kind of how me and movies go. If you talk too much about a movie, like the things that happen in the movie, other than just like a basic synopsis, I tend to lose interest because like you already told me what the movie is about, what are the scenes of the movie, so I'm going to lose interest. And that's probably the reason why I didn't watch it for the very long time. It was maybe around 10 years back, or maybe even before that, when I started reading about the series of movies that they had. I got a little bit interested. I think maybe 9 years ago is when I watched the movie. I'll have to check. Let's have a quick check. And the reason why, reason how I'm able to check is, I have a blog where I used to write, where I used to do reviews of movies. So if I have done a review of it, then I guess it should be there somewhere. Max von Sydow, who was in this movie, by the way. Okay, I don't think I've done a review for a movie. Okay, but I have watched it once before. And then today afternoon. So basically, as everybody knows, it's about the exorcism of a very powerful demon who possesses this young girl named Regan, and it's her mother, sorry, what's her name? Chris McNeil, played by Ellen Bernstein, who's trying to, help her daughter. And she's desperate that her daughter needs the help. So, like I mentioned, Ellen Bernstein plays Chris McNeil, the mother. Her daughter is played by Linda Blair, who's very, very famous for this role. She plays Regan McNeil. Max von Sydow plays Father Lancaster Mirren. Lee J. Cobb plays Lieutenant William F. Kinderman. Jason Miller plays Father, and he's also a psychiatrist, so Dr. Damien Karras. And Kitty Wynn plays Sharon Spencer. So that's who's acting in this movie. And yeah, so Pazuzu, the demon, you know the name. So how it basically comes to possess this girl, I'm not really sure. I'll have to really go deep into it. But the demon, or at least the stone talisman of the winged being named Pazuzu, was actually found by Lancaster Mirren on an archaeological dig in Iraq. And he finds this, like Babylon and those kind of area, I guess. And so he finds this, and he is concerned, and he sees a giant. He gets a vision of the giant stone version of the same talisman of this demon. But how does it come to possess her? Not really sure. But the detective does find a talisman, that same talisman, at the footsteps. At the end of the steps of her house. So I'm guessing the person who brought it there, the friend who gets killed, had it with him. I'm not really sure what exactly it is. Anyway, Regan is disturbed. She goes through a lot of these changes. She is not really sure, the mother is not really sure what's happening until she starts having violent outbreaks, and the first sign is her waking from her sleep and going down to the party. As the party is winding down, and just a few friends of her mother's sitting and playing piano, and she comes in and she urinates in front of them and she says, "You want to die?" something like that. She says, "You're going to die. You're all going to die," or something like that. And so she, at another time, her bed starts to shake very violently. The things start moving in the house. She starts saying abusive languages, abusing people, and saying really filthy stuff. And of course, they bring in Father Carreras, who was this priest that Chris had actually seen a few times. She wasn't sure who she is. There's a little bit of a hint that maybe she's attracted to him or something. Because she asks his friend, Father Dyer, as to who she is. And Father Dyer is actually going through his own problems. His mother died and he feels very guilty, feels that he wasn't there at the time. There's that aspect to it, and he's also questioning his faith a little bit. He's also pretty, like he's open to things like demon possession isn't real because it should be, problems of the mind, diseases and illnesses of the mind, which is actually causing people to think that they're being, and other people to think that these people are possessed by a demon of some sort. It is this person named Dennings. I just need to have a quick check as to who Dennings is. Because the name kind of Burke Dennings, I think, is the director of the movie that Chris is. Chris is an actress, so she's in the movie. So they suspect that he was found he was found at the foot of the steps. That suggests that he had either jumped or was pushed from the windows of Regan's room, and that's how he stumbled and fell onto his death. And that's where they find that particular thing. The vomiting scene is disgusting, but apparently it's pea soup, so that's okay. Of course, she plunges the curved crucifix into her vagina. They don't actually show that, but yeah. And she screams at him, fuck me, and all that stuff. So, oops, I swore. But yeah, all those things are disgusting. That's something that a demon would do, and it's not the child who's actually doing it, but yeah. And the demon is calling out the people, calling out the priest and all that. Carreras decides that he convinced the church that an exorcism is required, and they grant him grant his request as long as a senior priest, an experienced priest, comes and does the ritual. Merin is actually called, and he starts reading. They both start reading the Roman ritual. The demon starts cursing them. Unfortunately, Merin dies of a heart attack much later. Regan watches and laughs. Carreras is upset by seeing this, and he goes and beats on Regan, or the possessed Regan, and demands that the demon take him instead. And he finally jumps out of him, and then jumps out of Regan and goes into him. Carreras is able to get enough control at that particular moment to commit suicide by jumping out of the same window, tumble down the stairs, and he dies. Chris is happy that her daughter is free. Kinderman comes and checks. The detective Kinderman comes and checks, and Regan has got no clue what has happened. She doesn't remember anything about being possessed or all the things that have happened since. The scenes in the hospital are pretty brutal, I will tell you that. And then towards the end of the movie, you just see, while Carreras is dying on the steps, at the end of the steps, his friend, a lot of people do crowd around, and his friend Dyer comes in to give the last rites when he sadly sees his friend is dying. Just a short while after that, the McNeils decide to leave. Chris wants to keep it that way, that Regan has got no clue as to what has happened, and she wants to keep it that same way. She leaves. Only her friend Kathy Wynn stays, or she decides not to go with them wherever they are actually leaving to. But her butler decides to go with her. So Sharon Spencer, she leaves, although she's there in the second film, but she leaves for the time being. Father Dyer comes and says goodbye. The Regan is happy to see him. She doesn't know what has happened all this time, so she just gives him a hug and a kiss on the cheek, and then as they leave, uh, uh, Kinderman comes, meets up with Dyer, and offers to go with him for a movie, but it's a movie that the priest has already seen, so they decide to go for lunch instead. In this odd way that, like, as Kinderman has got. Apparently, he's a movie buff. So yeah, that's the movie, and of course, it is brutal. Of course, there's a the turning of the head, the levitating part. It's scary. I mean, it's not scary for me because I've seen worse in recent movies. But had I watched it back then, I would have shit my pants, I guess. And good thing I didn't watch it when I was a kid either. I would have pooped for days. So yeah, it is a classic. It is an absolutely fantastic movie. That's still, it does. I mean, take out the scary elements. It is shot very well. I mean, it stands up even to this time, and it's going to be there for a very, very long time. Horror fans of all ages should definitely watch this movie at least once in their lifetime. So I give this movie an 8.5 out of 10. Great movie, and I will watch the other movies as well and give my review of them pretty soon. I watched all of them once before, so see ya.